join us? Traffic from London? Or was it one of your theatrical endeavours that detained you?
The roads aren't, however. They're not as direct as your written.
This must be the American friend you wrote to me about.
Yes, Aunt Mason. This is Rebecca, fiancée.
Pleased to meet you.
My, an actress and a fiancée. The talk of the village.
Aunt, do exaggerate.
I pride myself on keeping up with the family gossip. Musgrove ensures I'm well informed. I've done without him, even though I have challenges with his hearing and his sight. But he's been with us for 6 years and I couldn't have managed without him.
Someone mentioned my name.
See what I mean?
Oh, this house is splendid. Such history. It's so different from the apartments in New York.
Yes, quite.
Oh, it's so serene. Though, I must admit, the stories of haunted English manners did keep me up last night.
Tales or John. So, you've heard about the Willoughby ghost then?
Aunt, don't start with your ghost stories now.
Oh, look, all these old manners have their tales. Rest assured, dear, those spirits in this house, but in the wine cellar.
Well, those are the kind of spirits I love to encounter.
Someone sees
Come down, Musgrove, after dinner.
It is going to be an eventful weekend, I can tell.
Yes, indeed. But first, let us have some more tea.
I have a feeling I'm going to like it here.
Well, now that most of us are here, let me welcome you to Willoughby Hall. This weekend shall be memorable.
Indeed. Mrs. Willoughby has some important matters to discuss. Matters that affect us all.
Oh, yeah, trees and madam. What help about?
It was the door, Musgrove. After you answer the door, then you can bring some more tea.
Yes.
Mrs. You invited us psychic? Really?
The ethereal plane called me, Mr. James. And voila, here I am, amidst mortals once again. Mrs. Willoughby, might I suggest a cleansing? The spirits here seem restless today.
How is Sherry?
Well, the early spirits I'll be entertaining are in my glass. Oh, Sherry, would you, Jonathan?
Spirits? Like the ghosts Mrs. Willoughby mentioned earlier.
Precisely, my dear. Old manners such as this are thick with the energies of the past.
Here we go.
I'm sensing a strong presence here. A man, angry, betrayed.
One of your past lovers is still up.
This spirit is not connected to me, but it is tied to his past, and someone here has awakened him.
Aunt, have you been holding seances without us?
Well, this weekend could use a little bit more excitement. Shall we indulge in a little fun? Estella, how about a reading?
As you wish. Now, let me see. sudden upheaval. When there's a storm coming. Oh dear, the Ten of Swords, betrayal, backstabbing, an end to something.
Anyone with eyes can predict drama in this house.
And finally, oh, the death cards. Change, transformation, an end, yes, but also a beginning.
That's quite enough, Estella. I think you should call it tonight.
As you wish, but remember, the cards do not lie.
To weekend of revelations.
Revelation. It's the doorbell, dear fellow.
John, and then my long dead mum, and it's Sister Mary have to leave now.
My, I'm not on a social call. How avant-garde.
Rebecca, now is not the time for your jokes.
Oh, Jonathan, always a serious time. Except behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors. There's something I should know?
Rehearsals, Rebecca. Strictly rehearsals.
Oh, yes, he was quite a performer.
We agreed never to talk about that.
What on earth did you confess, Jonathan?
Oh, the letters just say he had a lot to get off his chest.
This is rich, Jonathan. I never knew you had such depth.
It was a phase, Aunt.
A phase with a nun. I would pay to see that play.
It was not for public viewing, dear.
A toast to secret rendezvous and revelations.
Revelation.
All sharing us groves.
I think she said that it was Sister Mary.
This beats any show in London.
See what I mean? My aunt's parties always carry a whiff of drama, like a play waiting for the climax.
And which role do you play? The dashing hero or the unsuspecting villain?
Family like this, one never knows.
Jonathan, a word?
Rachel, how are you?
Sister Mary. I have found peace in service, Jonathan. It is you that I worry about. This life, it can be such a good thing.
All this doesn't interest me.
Well, that is not. I wanted to talk to you about the past, about what happened.
Rachel, I mean Mary. It was a long time ago. We both moved on, haven't we?
Have we? I see the way you are looking at me right now. It is the same way you used to.
Mary, please. I'm engaged now to Rebecca. This conversation is making me uncomfortable.
Jonathan, I thought you would be happy to see me.
Well, when you bring about past in front of everyone, especially Rebecca.
Oh, yes. Your lovely fiancée. She is quite spirited, isn't she?
What do you want?
Well, I came to see Mrs. Willoughby, of course. But also I heard you were to be here, and so I thought it time to repay.
With me.
Jonathan, they were wonderful times. We found solace in each other under all that chaos.
You were more than just a friend to me. You were my companion, my life. You disappeared without a word. I was heartbroken. It's taken me a long time to get over you. What happened?
Oh, I am terribly sorry for leaving you like that. But your aunt made me. She suggested, strongly advised, it was in your best interest if I
I'll
just...
tell her. I don't believe it. What did she say?
Oh, it does not matter now, but I have come to realise that the daughter of a publican could never live up to the standards of the Willoughby family.
She said that. I wouldn't believe it, Aunt Helena. But she invited you here after all, didn't she?
Because a nun is no longer a threat. And because I wanted to see you.
Now you are here, stirring up old memories.
Life is full of twists and turns, Jonathan, but it is the memories that make us who we are. Treasure them, Jonathan, as I have.
I do. Every day.
The leaves have settled. It's time.
This weekend is going to be longer than I thought.
Mason, this is risky. We cannot be seen together like this.
It's necessary. Are you sure that no one suspects anything?
I don't think so, but we must be careful. Jonathan's aunt set out to discuss the will tonight, isn't she?
Yes, that could complicate things. We just need to move forward with our plan before she reveals it to everyone.
I don't like this, Mason. If we're caught, perhaps we should put this to bed. I'm having second thoughts.
Don't you think about it right now?
Mason, let go. You're hurting me.
We won't be caught, trust me. Everything will work out as planned. We just need time. So hold your nerve.
Gather round. What is unseen is oft more telling than what the eye beholds.
If you're quite finished with your theatrics, Estella,
The spirits whisper of change, great upheaval.
this isn't about the break-in in my conservatory, is it? That's public knowledge. They're already sending someone down from the stadium.
A shadow looms, heavy with intent. Beware, will not all see the morrow's light.
The real spirit we should be consulting is in the bottom.
Quite right, Jonathan. But let us humour our guest. Continue, Estella.
There is one here, the bearer of secrets, cloaked in dark.
Let's not get carried away with parlor tricks.
Not tricks, Mr. James, warnings from beyond.
People believe this?
Belief is a powerful thing. Whether it's in spirits or love.
Station.
Ah, yes. Constable, some miscreant has broken some of the window panes in my conservatory.
Yes, I had a look around when I arrived. Was anything taken?
No, nothing. That's what perplexes me. All my valuable orchids are untouched.
What baffles me is the intention. A conservatory, vandalised, hardly the usual.
It is deliberate, that's for sure. As if the intruder wanted us to notice it.
It's a sign, a warning perhaps.
Perhaps. For now, we need to secure the manor. Mrs. Willoughby, it might be wise to have someone with you until we figure this all out.
Oh, nonsense. I've faced worse in my life. Besides, I'm in a house full of people. I couldn't be safer. However, I do appreciate your concern, Constable.
But the spirits, they are restless. We must all be on guard.
Restless spirits or not, we need to get to the bottom of this.
Oh, Musgrove will keep an eye out, won't you, Musgrove? Musgrove?
Someone call for tea.
No, not now, Musgrove. We must do something about this hearing.
And the security of this manor.
Physical locks will not keep out the angel. The spirits have spoken.
Mrs. Willoughby, might I trouble you for the telephone number of the local mechanic? My car won't start, and I really must get back to the station with this report.
Yes, Musgrove will write it down for you. Musgrove?
Did someone drink something? Not your father's wind chime.
No, Musgrove. Windows, not wind chime. Wait a minute. How do you know the wind chime belonged to my father?
Oh, someone must have told me, I think.
Curious.
Yeah, I can't tell what information you have.
Thank you, Musgrove.
It is I, mark my words.
Facts are one. If you all will cooperate, we should be able to clear this matter up.
Well, thank you all for joining me this evening. I trust the storm outside and the weather outside hasn't dampened anyone's spirits. The storm outside rather mirrors the tempest within these walls, doesn't it? Darkness can be such a curious companion.
Yes, curious as an empty glass. I shall have another.
Weather like this brings out the secrets, Aunt Helena. Stories of family betrayals, curses and haunted manors.
The energy is shifting. Cold memories are being awakened. Beware the shadow, for they have tales to tell.
Right, we should focus on the tangible, like the broken, for instance. And I thought my evening was going to be uneventful. Trapped because of a vehicle breakdown, and now I'm just tales of haunted memories. Divine intervention, perhaps? Not know about that, sister. That storm is getting closer.
Oh, there's no way safer for riding out a storm than Willoughby Hall. A toast to family, long-held secrets, and the promise of revelations.
Revelations.
Speaking of family, Estella, it may come as a surprise to some of those here that you and I are more connected than they might realise. I'm getting too old for secrets anyway, and I did promise revelations. Shall we surprise them with one?
Oh, it was a long time ago. Well before Eleanor's marriage to Mr. Willoughby.
What?
Estella is my younger half-sister. We had our differences and our paths diverged. We've only recently reconnected.
The spirits called me away.
And the promised inheritance called you back.
That is behind us now.
Indeed. Now, I will be making an announcement this evening that concerns everyone here.
Spirits warn of impending darkness.
Perhaps it's just the storm affecting the power. We should move to the dining room.
No, I'm quite settled here. A toast to old memories and new beginnings.
Old memories indeed.
We should stick together. If the intruders smash the conservatory windows, who knows what else their intentions are, and they might still be on the premises. Power outage in this storm could leave us vulnerable.
More vulnerable than you could ever imagine.
Well, let's get on with it then. Now it's time to talk about matters that have been long forgotten. Now, for the matter on hand,
Aunt, is this the right time? The storm.
it can cleanse Jonathan.
And bring out hidden truths.
And summon forgotten spirits. Feel it? They're here. Watching, waiting, restless to know.
This is not the time for your games, Estella. Oh my God! Jonathan, where are you? I'm scared.
storm, darling?
It's the spirits. They're trying to communicate.
Ah, Lord protect us.
Everyone, please remain calm. I will check the fuse box. I'm so sorry. I'm just petrified in the dark.
It's all right, dear. It's an old house. And with this storm...
This is no ordinary blackout. This is a sign, a warning.
Oh, come on, Estella. You can't be serious.
Mark my words. Something dreadful is about to happen.
Yes, like running out of brandy.
So where was I? Ah, yes, my estate. Now, Mason, you've been a loyal confidant. Would you do me the honour of reading my testament?
Of course, Mrs. Willoughby.
Wait! Before you continue, I must warn you. The spirits are restless tonight.
Oh, my Stella, why are your spirits always restless? Very well, speak your piece.
Darkness surrounds us. The veil between the worlds is thin. Beware the harbinger of change is upon us.
It's all part of the show.
If I may continue.
It's merely the storm. Yes, Mason, the will.
I, Eleanor Ann Willoughby, being of sound mind, do hereby...
Not again!
Rebecca, calm down. It's just a blackout.
Stay close to me.
It's the spirits! They're angry!
Estella, stop it. You're scaring Rebecca.
Yes, she of all people should be scared.
What is that supposed to mean?
All be revealed.
I think we'd better continue this tomorrow in the light of day. Oh, Jonathan, you seem troubled.
I was just reflecting on the past.
Ah, yes. This house has seen many things, some joyful and some not so.
Art. All those years ago. Rachel, did you force it?
Now, Jonathan, I need to speak with you about the will. Now, I've made some decisions, and I fear not everyone will be pleased.
I'm sorry. Jonathan, may I have a word?
I'll leave you to. Good night.
Jonathan, there's something I need to tell you about Mason.
Well, now, Rebecca, I've a lot on my mind.
So many words left unsaid. If only things were different.
Everything all right, Jonathan?
This has your name on it, Mason. And Rebecca's. How can that be? You don't know each other. What is all this?
Oh, it's just some legal paperwork. Miss Evans and I have been working on a contract for an investment property that she's interested in. It's really nothing for you to worry about.
Well, what now? Right, Paddington Station in here.
Beware, Jonathan. The cards, they speak of deceit and hidden truths.
What's that?
I managed to find a candle.
Oh my God, she's dead!
Mary, do you think the murder had something to do with the breaking? Or even the will?
It's possible. There was a lot of tension last night.
It's in the murder. This wasn't in our plan. You sure don't suspect our little diversion? This could ruin everything.
No, the opposite actually. This is working to our advantage. We just need to stay calm, stick to our story, and we'll be fine.
This case is more complicated than it appears. Everyone here seems to have something to hide. It's not a war thing.
Attention everybody. This is Detective Inspector McNally from Scotland Yard. She will be leading the investigation and I will be assisting her.
Good morning. I have been briefed on the unfortunate events of last night. Let me assure you I will uncover the truth. Now, before we delve further into the unfortunate demise of Mrs. Willoughby, there is the matter of the conservatory breaking.
Yes, about that. Why would anyone break into a conservatory? It's hardly the place for valuable items.
I've been thinking, could the break-in have been a distraction? A way to divert our attention?
Distraction? But from what exactly?
It is highly coincidental that a murder and a break-in happen on the same night. The timing suggests a deliberate ploy to misdirect us.
Could it somehow be connected to the announcement Mrs. Willoughby was to make? Perhaps one of us here wanted to steer our attention away from something more sinister.
The break-in did seem staged. The conservatory door was forced, but nothing was disturbed or taken. It's as if the intruder wanted it to be discovered.
So we were all distracted by the conservatory, while taking our focus on something much worse.
This changes things. We need to look at every angle, every interaction of last night. Whomever orchestrated this could very well be among us.
Inspector, the spirits are present, and they wish to communicate.
Spirits, you say? I prefer to rely on evidence and facts, and a strong cup of tea.
We all want justice, Inspector, for Mrs. Willoughby and for our own sakes.
Indeed. I intend to interview each of you individually. We need to establish everyone's whereabouts and actions leading up to and during the blackouts.
We're all here in the dark. How can anyone account for mere seconds?
Sometimes it is the smallest detail that can be revealing. Any piece of information, no matter how trivial it seems, can be crucial.
Inspector, perhaps I can be of help. I have an intimate knowledge of Mrs. Willoughby's affairs. You see, Mrs. Willoughby was quite specific about her beneficiaries, although not everyone present was included.
Inspector, I was foretold. The tower, chaos, sudden upheaval.
Miss Winchester, please sit down. This is a police investigation and not a seance.
Down with the spirits.
I will start with you, Mr. Carstairs. We will use Mrs. Willoughby's study. Constable, please make sure all rooms are searched. Look for any anomalies.
Yes, Mom.
I still can't believe any of us could be responsible.
One of you knows more than they are letting on. Rest assured, I will find out who is responsible for this heinous act.
So, you think did it? This estate is worth a fortune. Enough motive for some, I'd wager.
We should not cast judgments without proof, Mr. James. We all have our secrets.
Speak for yourself, sister.
I do. I have made peace with my past. Can you say the same, Mr. James?
What do you mean by that, sister?
Let us just say that this is a small village and gossip spreads like a rampant cold.
I wouldn't pay too much attention to idle gossip, sister.
Well, Nathan, it's no secret that you've had your eye on Willoughby fortune for years. Always at the old lady's side, always offering her your advice.
I was her solicitor. I was doing my job. Besides, she was a dear friend. Oh, speaking of friends, Rebecca, you're the newest member of this circle. What brings you across the pond?
Love. Nothing more, nothing less. I have no interest in the Willoughby fortune.
Oh, love, the most powerful of motivations. And yet, sometimes even love may not be powerful enough.
What do you mean by that?
The sister is hinting at past liaisons. Every family has its secrets, dear.
Seems like she has a bone to pick with Jonathan. Care to enlighten us, sister?
Oh, it is not my place to say.
What are you hiding?
Oh, this is getting salacious. The spirits are quite giddy.
Enough with the spirit. We're all in this together. If one of us is guilty, it affects us all. We need to be honest with each other.
Yes, Mason, honesty is paramount, and truth shall be revealed tonight.
Yes, honesty would be a good start.
Fine. Before I took my vows, Jonathan and I, we were engaged, but it is in the past. I've moved on, and he has too.
Jonathan never mentioned this.
Oh, the plot thickens. So many motivations, so little time.
Let's not jump to any conclusions. We don't know anything yet.
Seems like we're finding out quite a lot, actually.
Let us get down to business, Mr. Carstairs. Did you have any disagreements with your aunt?
Disagreements. She was family. Sure, we had our differences, especially about my choice of profession, but I would never have hurt her.
Let's talk about your relationship with Sister Mary Magdalena. There is a history there, isn't there?
How did you find out? Was it Rebecca?
No, I'm a detective, Mr. Carstairs. The body language, the exchanging glances, all telltale signs of an intimate past. There was also some talk in the village, but thank you for confirming with your question.
That was years ago, long before she took her vows. It's ancient history. We both moved on.
Yet here she is, at the manor, at the same time as you and your fiancé. An intriguing coincidence, don't you agree?
My aunt invited her. I had no say in the guest list. Whatever happened between us in the past stays there.
And Rebecca Evans, your fiancé? You say your relationship is genuine, but could there be more to it? Seduced by the Willoughby fortune, perhaps?
No! Rebecca and I, we fell in love. Her background, her nationality, none of that matters. And the fortune, it's irrelevant.
I'll decide what's relevant, Mr. Carstairs. How did the two of you meet?
Well, we both auditioned for roles in the same play in London. She was recently arrived from New York and didn't know anyone. She asked me to help her with her lines, and before we knew it, we were in love.
Back to your aunt. You said you loved your aunt, yet apparently she was a difficult woman. Are you sure there were no disagreements or conflicts?
Yes, she was eccentric, challenging even. But she was still family, and despite everything, I respected her, cared for her. I couldn't have hurt her. I just wish I understood why all this is happening.
Love, Mr. Carstairs, can sometimes be the most complex motive of all.
Yes, Inspector. I suppose it can.
Miss Rebecca Evans, could you please step in?
Miss Evans, you ventured quite a distance for love and work, yet here we are, amidst the tragedy.
Absolutely. What happened to Mrs. Willoughby is horrible, but Jonathan had nothing to do with it.
Jonathan, what about you, Miss Evans? Surely you were privy to the nature of Mrs. Willoughby's will?
Privy? How so?
Well, it's common for betrothed to share such details.
Oh, yes, of course. Jonathan mentioned it in passing. He was excited. Said it would secure our future.
And your own future, Miss Evans? How does an American out-of-work actress find herself in the English countryside, betrothed to a man soon to be fortune?
I came for work and fell in love. I will not deny the comfort Jonathan's inheritance promised. But I never wanted this.
Thank you, Miss Evans. Could you please send in Sister Mary Magdalena? Sister, your faith is a bastion in troubling times, yet even the devout have pasts. Yours entwines with Mr. Carstairs.
You know about us. Our engagement was brief. His aunt's ambition did not allow room for us.
Ambition can be a passion or a poison. And your heart, it was broken by this same ambition?
It was awakened. I found my true calling in service to God, and not to a family who could not see beyond their own wealth.
And there was no part of you that sought recompense for your broken heart? Revenge is a strong motive, sister.
Vengeance was not in my heart. For the pain, it was a crucible forging a new path for my life.
A crucible indeed. Pain can lead to many outcomes. Sister, were you aware of Mrs. Willoughby's intentions regarding her estate?
I knew she planned to provide for members of her inner circle. But as for her earthly possessions, well, they are of no consequence to me. I am here because of a promised donation to the church.
Your conviction is clear. Thank you for your candor, sister. Conviction and passion, entwined with loss. The human heart is a complex thing indeed. Michaels, could you send in Mr. James, please? Mr. James, as a solicitor, you had access to her affairs?
My business with Mrs. Willoughby was strictly professional. I would never jeopardise my career.
And yet, your career was in jeopardy, wasn't it? Financial troubles, perhaps?
I'm not sure what you're implying.
These ledgers, Mr. James, paint a rather precarious picture.
Mrs. Willoughby was a generous woman. Yes, she did help stave off bankruptcy through her continued patronage. Her premature death is a loss to us all.
Mm-hmm. And as her solicitor, you are fully aware of who the beneficiaries are.
Oh, yes. I helped draft the original will and the subsequent revision.
Revision? What was revised?
Well, she removed the church as the main beneficiary so that her nephew would inherit most of her fortune. It's a proviso attached. She made some other minor changes.
A proviso which was?
Mr. Carstairs marries. To ensure future heirs, I presume.
Thank you, Mr. James. Most enlightening. Miss Winchester, your theatrics earlier were quite stirring.
The spirits speak, Inspector. I am merely a conduit.
And do the spirits speak of murder often?
The spirits will reveal all in time.
We will keep this brief. Where were you during the blackout?
Where I always am, Inspector. Between two worlds, the living and the dead.
Let's stick with the living for now. Did you notice anything unusual?
Yes. When the lights came back on, yes, Mrs. Willoughby was dead. The spirits foresaw the strategy. Blackness was blooming forever.
This is not a seance, Miss Winchester. Facts, please. Just before the murder.
Very well. I was in the billiard room, feeling the storm's energy. I did not see anything. No, not in this realm, anyway.
Do you have any history with Mrs. Willoughby?
Yes, I do, but you already know that. Eleanor's my half-sister. We hadn't seen each other for a very long time, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, she contacted me. About 3 months ago. Said she wanted to connect with Samuel, her late husband. He was killed in war, you know. Oh, I could sense his spirit here. This marrow is filled with his energy.
Yeah, all right. Miss Winchester, we will be in touch if we have any further questions.
Oh, be wary, Inspector. For the true killer wears a mask that not even you can see through.
Masks, indeed.
This was supposed to be a celebratory weekend. Who would have thought?
Tragedy often strikes when you least expect it.
Did you really have a relationship with Jonathan before you met me? He's always been like a book with missing pages. I feel I know him, and there are so many surprises.
Yes, but it was a long time ago. We have both moved on.
It's just, he carries a handkerchief with the letter R embroidered on it. Jonathan said it reminded him of his mother, Rose, but he never speaks of her, or his past. It's like there are chapters of his life I haven't read. It isn't his mother's, is it? R stands for Rachel, doesn't it? It's yours, isn't it? I feel like there's so much about his past I don't know. He keeps parts of himself hidden in the shadows.
Did not know he kept it all this time. We all have our inner sanctums, Rebecca. Places we retreat to, not out of deceit, but need. And Jonathan's no different.
Trust is a fickle thing. Once broken, hard to rebuild.
What are you implying, Mr. James?
Just an observation. In times like these, trust becomes questionable.
The spirits, they are
Let me guess. Restless? Now is not the time for your spirit talk, Estella. What a mess.
It is imperative that our plan remains concealed, especially from Jonathan. He must not suspect our true intentions.
Jonathan, where did you find that?
You dropped him last night. Why is my name here? Why are you and Mason?
Jonathan, please let me explain. This is not what it seems.
Deceit, Rebecca? Is that what we've come to? How could you hide something so significant?
It's innocent, Jonathan. Mason was helping me with a contract for a role I'd been offered. I thought you might get jealous, so we decided that you didn't need to know about it until I worked up the courage to tell you. It's never about betraying you.
Lies! That's not what Mason claimed. You two need to get your stories straight. Did you have anything to do with our Telenor's death? Am I just a pawn in your game with Mason?
No! Jonathan, you must believe me. My feelings for you, they're real.
I loved you, Rebecca. I trusted you more than anyone. And now, I don't even know who you are.
Jonathan, I never meant to hurt you. I love you.
I don't know what to believe anymore. Who are you, Rebecca? Who am I to you?
Please.
Just go, Rebecca. I need to be alone.
Jonathan, can we talk? It's important about us.
Mary, that was a lifetime ago. We've both moved on. You've found your calling, and I...
But have we truly moved on? I see the way you look at me. There's a part of you still tied to our past. Tracy told me you still have my handkerchief.
It's complicated, Mary. I'm engaged to Rebecca now. I can't just revisit what we had,
I'm not
special
asking.
as it was.
I'm not asking you to turn back time, Jonathan. But we never had closure. We died with so many words left unsaid.
I wonder what would have happened if Aunt Helena hadn't interfered. You were the love of my life, Mary.
And you were my first love. The church was the hardest decision I ever had to make.
I miss you, Mary, every day. Now, with everything that's happened to us, it's like we're worlds apart.
Perhaps it's for the best. We each have our own paths now. But Jonathan, know this. You will always have a special place in my heart. Take care, Jonathan. And remember, there's a part of our past that always lingers, shaping who we are.
I would like each of you to account for your whereabouts during the blackouts. The killer took advantage of the last one.
I already told you. I was here. Mason had just left me when I heard a commotion.
Yes, you and Miss Evans are currently the least of my concerns.
Thank you, Inspector.
But that does not mean you're completely off my list. Miss Winchester, you claim spirits talk to you.
Yes, they do, Inspector, and they're screaming for justice.
So why don't you ask them then who killed Mrs. Willoughby?
It does not work like that, Inspector, but they have told me that more misfortune will strike someone tonight.
Yes, spare me the theatrics. Where were you during the last blackout?
I was in the corridor looking for the billiard room after I had left this room. Oh, this house is so nice.
Convenient, isn't it? Getting lost in your own supposed sister's home.
Our families had a disagreement many years ago, but I had no reason to harm her. And in fact, she recently sought me out.
Now, we will get back to that. And you, Mr. James, where were you?
In the billiard room with everyone else. I had no interaction with her during the blackouts.
Still, near the victim. How convenient.
I was doing my job.
And you, sister? Your involvement with Jonathan and now being here, so rather curious.
I was invited, Inspector, and during the last blackout, I had just left Jonathan in his room and headed for my own room.
This is getting us nowhere. My arms is dead, and all we're doing is throwing accusations around.
Calm down, young man. Accusations often lead to the truth.
Mom, I found this behind Mrs. Willoughby's portrait in the wall. The frame was good. And I just noticed it opening up from behind.
Let me see that. Shows a much younger Mrs. Willoughby with an unidentifiable man, both looking in love.
I've seen that face before. So familiar. Her husband, perhaps, before he went to the war.
Are there any photographs or portraits of Mr. Willoughby in the manor?
No. My aunt destroyed them after he was killed in the war. She said it was too painful.
Yet this one survives. A lone reminder of the man she loved.
This looks like an engagement photo. There's something written on the back. To my darling Eleanor, with all my love. The rest is smudged.
Are you Samuel Willoughby? Are you on flame, perhaps? Secret kept for years.
All's good talking. I can't tell. You prefer to whisper.
Why hide the photograph? We must find out who this man is. He may hold the key to solving this entire case.
I have heard Mrs. Willoughby mention him once, a long time ago. Love lost, she said, but never forgotten.
We must delve deeper.
Oh, we're all grasping at straws. This is a waste of time.
Or perhaps some of us fear what those straws might reveal.
Fear or not, the truth will surface. Now, let's get to the bottom of this. Mr. James, thank you for joining me. Just a few follow-up questions. So, your relationship with Miss Evans, purely platonic?
Absolutely, Inspector. We're just merely friendly acquaintances. Nothing more.
This photograph suggests otherwise. You both seem intimately close.
All right. Rebecca and I met a few months ago in New York when I was on holiday there. It's really a fantastic coincidence that we should meet again here. Appearances can be deceiving, Inspector. We never crossed that line. She made it perfectly clear that she was engaged.
Never crossed that line. Then explain this. Why do witnesses say they have seen the two of you at the registrar's office in Oxford 12 months ago?
Oh, that was for a charity event that Rebecca was hosting. They had to get a permit.
A charity event? Or a more private celebration, perhaps?
No, Inspector. It was just a fundraiser.
Interesting. You seem to have an answer for everything. You're quite apt, Mr. James, but not quite convincing enough. I'll be watching you. Look at this, Michaels. Financial ledgers, miscellaneous documents, and here, a photograph.
That's Mason James. Isn't that Rebecca Evans? Where'd you find these, Mum?
It appears to be. It was delivered to me anonymously with a note. Inspector, you may find this useful for your investigation. I've been secretly observing Mrs. James and Miss Evans this past month. They have much to hide. This looks like a marriage certificate. If this is legitimate, it's a motive wrapped in a secret.
She's engaged to Jonathan.
Indeed. It complicates the narrative. Concealed marriage, financial discrepancies. It appears we also had some financial deception and now a murder. All under one roof. This estate is teeming with secrets. I suspect Mason James and Rebecca Evans know more than they let on.
Do you think Mason James and Rebecca Evans were somehow involved in Mrs. Willoughby's death?
Perhaps. This evidence paints a rather grim portrait of greed. We must confront them with caution. It's time to cut through these tangled webs. Let's set the stage for an unveiling. But first I have a phone call to make to the registrars. After a thorough investigation and speaking with each of you separately, I have made some startling discoveries.
Hush their spirit. They will know everything soon.
We cannot bear it any longer. Who did it?
Let me first clarify something. I have found peculiarities in Mrs. Willoughby's will.
What kind of peculiarities?
Mrs. Willoughby had recently made changes to her will. It mentions a letter, but that letter is missing.
Missing? How is that possible? I was her solicitor. I had everything with me yesterday evening before the blackouts.
Someone did not want us to see the final wishes of Mrs. Willoughby.
The shadow did it.
Not now, Stella.
The document I found suggests that Mrs. Willoughby planned to leave the bulk of her estate to Mr. Carstairs under specific conditions. What were those conditions? They must be in that letter. It also mentions Sister Mary Magdalena, but it's all very vague about her involvement.
Me? Mary?
You knew about this?
I swear I did not.
Mrs. Willoughby was racked with guilt over the past, and she invited me here to discuss a reconciliation between me and her. But that's all I know.
Hold on, there's more. Musgrove, can you come here?
Is it tea time yet?
No, Musgrove, you found something last night, didn't you?
Oh, yes, it's a piece of paper.
Where is it now?
I put it along in the wastepaper basket.
It appears that Miss Winchester is also a beneficiary in Mrs. Willoughby's new will.
What a mistake, I'm sure.
Mrs. Willoughby kept a secret about you, a connection between the two of you. Something from the past. What of your secrets, Miss Winchester? Please tell us.
I have danced with the devil and dined with angels, Inspector. I know well that every spirit bears the shackles of its earthly deeds.
Spirits are not on trial here, Miss Winchester. Speak plainly, please, or shall I reveal it?
Very well. My secret, that the spirit of truth compels me to confess, is that I too am a Willoughby. As you all already know, cast out, disowned, but I bear no grudge. I seek only to guide your soul.
Yes, yes, you told us earlier that you were Aunt Helena's sister.
Eleanor was not my sister. I misled you all. She was, in fact, my mother. She had to give me up because at the time she was all alone and she had a nervous breakdown. We met up again in the spiritual realms, and she made me promise that no one would know our true relationship. In fact, she wanted everyone to think that we were half-sisters. But I knew nothing about the will, I swear.
This subterfuge was created by Mrs. Willoughby so that no one would question why a stranger like Miss Winchester would be the recipient of such a substantial amount of money.
And your father is...
Tea to soothe the nerves, lemon on milk, a drop of truth for flavor.
A drop of truth is exactly what we are here for. Let us continue with you, Miss Evans. Your engagement to Mr. Carstairs was fast. Hurried. Why the rush?
We were in love. It's not a crime to want to secure one's happiness.
We're in love? Don't you mean
Or what one stands to gain. Mr. Carstairs, a word about your relationship with your aunt?
She was like a mother to me. I would never have done anything.
But an inheritance can sour even the sweetest milk of human kindness, can it not? After all, you found out that it was she who ended your relationship with Sister Mary Magdalena, the former Rachel Lynn.
Wasn't like that.
Mr. James, you are the executor of the will, correct?
Man of the law, my position demands integrity.
And yet, sometimes the law is like a spider's web, and the bit of lies sometimes slip through. We're dealing with a clever criminal here, but no matter how intricate the web, one single thread of truth can unravel it all. And we will find that thread because justice, ladies and gentlemen, has a ferocious appetite for the truth. The truth, like the sun, will eventually dispel the darkest shadows. We have danced around secrets, tiptoed past lies, but now it is time for the masquerade to end. Mr. James, explain Mrs. Willoughby's will.
The bulk of Mrs. Willoughby's estate will be left to Jonathan, with small tokens given to other family and friends.
Me? But why?
We will get to that in a moment. Miss Evans, you also have a confession to make. The truth, Miss Evans. Remember, we are Scotland Yard. We know everything about the orphaned girl from Brixton.
Rebecca? Brixton?
I understand, Inspector. Jonathan, there's something I must tell you. I am married to Mason. We planned for me to seduce you, marry you, and then to drain you of your inheritance.
You're not even American. You and Mason are married. You're a despicable liar, Rebecca.
It started before I met you. Just a scheme. But then I fell in love with you. I realised what a good, kind man you are, and the type of man I was married to. Truly.
A scheme? You played me, Rebecca. How can I ever believe a word you said?
No, Jonathan, it's not like that. I never expected to love you. My feelings for you are real. I swear it.
How could you? You were willing to commit bigamy for money.
I was lost in the plan, but you changed everything. I wanted to find a way out, to be with you.
I thought what we had was special, Rebecca. I trusted you, loved you, and you've shattered that trust. Did you kill my aunt? Tell me!
No. Neither of them committed the fatal act. This case has been a web of deception, and at the center lies a secret marriage. Mason James and Rebecca Evans plotting to usurp the Willoughby fortune. Constable, please radio the station and request Constable Richards' presence immediately.
Yes, Mom.
The real murderer is someone who has been with us all along, hiding in plain sight.
Someone called for people.
No, thank you, Musgrove. Or shall I say, Samuel Willoughby. A shadow from the past. Presumed dead, but very much alive. The jigsaw old man.
Wait a minute, Samuel Willoughby. But that's impossible. My uncle died in the war, before I was born.
That's true.
But you're my father.
I am not Estelle.
Oh, I don't understand.
Why this subterfuge? You're part of his family. You could have revealed yourself earlier. We would have accepted you with open arms. Aunt Eleanor, did she know?
I came back to the manor about 6 years ago. I couldn't tell anyone who I was. But with the ravages of war, scars on my face, plus the fact I was a deserter from the army, I couldn't just slip back into the role of a husband. Then I found out that Eleanor had given birth to an illegitimate child. As I fought at the front, my world just fell apart.
Now that we know your true identity, Samuel, there is one last pressing question. Why did you murder Mrs. Willoughby, your own wife?
I never meant to harm Eleanor. Things got out of hand. I was only there to protect the Willoughby legacy and prevent our name falling into the wrong hands. After years of arguing over the over the will. Things escalated. All the bickering and arguing, tensions rose. And she refused to recognize me when I revealed myself. Not my Samuel. And she tried to call the young constable. I couldn't allow that. I couldn't have him here unraveling all of this. The last thing I remember, I had my hands around her throat.
All because of the inheritance? To decide who gets what?
It wasn't about the money. It was about preserving our family's legacy. I heard Eleanor in conversation with the convent. She was going to give most of the money to the church, to a illegitimate child, her daughter, Estella, you. I couldn't let that happen. So I took the letter from the page. I had someone approaching, so I couldn't grab the rest of the will.
You're mistaken, Samuel. Mrs. Willoughby amended her will. She was only going to leave a donation to the convent so they could have their roof replaced. She took the bulk of the estate to Jonathan under the proviso that he marries. Her instructions are in a letter that she wrote to him, night before last, just before the will reading.
All for nothing. I confronted her that night, tried to reason with her. But we argued, and in a moment of anger, I never meant for her to die. I watched her for years, all this from a distance. You mean it was all to stay in the family after all? And this is for you, Ned.
So that's where Rebecca Evans comes in. Wow. So if Mr. Carstairs and Miss Evans married, then Mr. James and Miss Evans would effectively control the Willoughby fortune.
Samuel, so you were the anonymous source of all the information we received about Mason James and Rebecca Evans, weren't you? I recognize the handwriting on the envelope, the same handwriting on the back of the engagement photo, and the number you wrote down for Michael's. Once I put the pieces together, it all became quite obvious. I understand your motive was to protect your family from taking a life. That's a line you can't cross. There's still the matter of the conservatory break-in, though. We have to understand how this fits into the evening's events. Mr. James, your actions already raised questions tonight. Have you been involved in the conservatory incident as well?
Yes, I committed the break-in. It was meant to be a distraction, to stir up some chaos before the announcement of the will.
You staged a break-in. I have nothing to do with that, Inspector. Why would you do that?
I needed to create a distraction, a way to make everybody anxious and preoccupied. It was part of my plan to delay the reading of the will. I needed more time to change Mrs. Willoughby's mind.
I saw the break-in take place. I was in the conservatory cutting men for the tea. When I saw what was going on, I thought, how low we become.
While Mason was causing a scene, Samuel, uncle, was preparing for his own confrontation with Aunt Helen.
A tangled web of deceit, each strand leading to the next and culminating in tragedy.
And we have a series of actions. Mason James and Rebecca Evans. Mason James staged break into the conservatory as a precursor to the will reading, and Samuel's unintended act of violence amid the ensuing chaos. Rebecca Evans, Mason James, your plan to manipulate the will was the spark that set off this chain of events.
I never meant for anybody to be harmed. We only wanted to secure what we believed we deserved. After years of service, she was going to leave me with nothing.
But in doing so, you unknowingly pushed Samuel to desperate measures.
We, darling.
And in the process, you've unravelled the very fabric of this family. What was it all for in the end?
What we have here are layers of deceit. Mason James and Rebecca's Evans forge and Samuel's desperate attempt to protect the family legacy, leading to an unintended murder. A tragic weave of deception and desperation. A family torn apart by greed and misguided loyalty. Possible, please escort Samuel Willoughby and Mr. and Mrs. James to the study and tell Constable Richards to wait there with them until we finish up.
These events, they made me realise life is too short for regrets. I still care for you, Mary, deeply.
I've never stopped caring for you while I love you.
Mary, in all this darkness, you've been the light. After all these years, I come back.
I've always felt a connection to this place. And to you.
With that,
It's time I stopped hiding behind this habit to face the world again. To open my heart to what it has been denied for too long. Love.
and it's not too late for us. I never imagined coming back here would lead to this. To us finding each other again.
Life is a strange way of bringing us back to where we belong.
Mr. Carstairs, would you be kind enough to satisfy my curiosity? Would you read the letter your aunt wrote?
Certainly. My dear nephew, by now you would have been made aware of your inheritance. The only stipulation I have is that you forgive me for my act of arrogance and marry the person you were happiest with before my unwanted interference. I was wrong to do so, and I now see what a genuine, kind-hearted person she truly is. I have invited her here this weekend under the pretense of donating to her church charity fund. I hope that you may rekindle what has never truly gone away and find yourselves again. Mary.
Rachel.
Well, Michaels, this was a difficult case, but I believe we've done our job.
Yes, it was quite the experience, Mum. I never would have guessed the bar.
Really, Michael? No, in our line of work always expect the unexpected. It's often the quiet ones that harbor the deepest secrets. Well, let's head back to the office. There's paperwork to do, and I'm sure there will be another case waiting for us.
This is